All right, Nick. Coming in live, top 9. Shouldn't have a whole lot to worry about. Also want to openly admit I don't have it on. I didn't turn it on.
How dare you?
So if it starts getting dicey, let me know. I actually think I'm behind. I don't know when it I know what happened. I've figured out what happened. So you know how like there's times where I'm watching the game and it's just not live. So I went back and rewound it to try to like see the whole Fraley thing, like him hitting that person, and it just got lost on me that I was about 2.5, 3 minutes behind. So yeah, to my surprise, it was there was like one out in the top of the 9th when I thought that the bottom of the 8th had ended. How many outs we got, Nick?
2.
2 outs.
They do got a runner on third. I should probably put that on there.
And I'm sure people are just...
I know. They're punching air right now.
I'm sure they're mad.
Nick Kirby. They have the right.
They'll find something to be mad about. I was actually going to try to come on here tonight and have a bit and just see if I could find something to get mad about.
We
Reds
got a
win.
game. Reds win.
All right, folks. These shows are better than others. They're a little more enjoyable. So we'll see in a minute.
Bench to bench. Change hit in the air to deep right field. Back goes Clemente. At the save. He's done. Get out of here, baseball. It's gone. Oh, my God. You believe it. Johnny Bench has tied it up. The Cincinnati Reds win the World Series in 4 straight. It was a sweep. In the dirt. It's a wild pitch. Here comes Foster. The Reds win the pennant. Larkins won the game. That ball is fair. Cincinnati's ahead. 2 games to none. Welcome, Joe Randa to Cincinnati. Adam Dunn has done it again. Benzinger backing and calling. And the 1990 World Championship belongs to the Cincinnati Reds.
Marty, yes. This is Adam from Milwaukee. Hey, Adam, how you doing? I'm good. How are you? Good. Do you think Scott Chatterbox is a good player?
Dunn up there with the bases loaded, the outfield deep and around toward right, and the 1-0 on the way to the plate. Swung on, long drive, right field, and this one belongs to the Reds.
And a high drive. Hit back into deep right field. Junior has just knocked the door down to the 500 club. Benson's first home run is a walk-off winner. That ball had a family.
And De La Cruz is, oh my goodness, look at this kid run. My, oh my, that is a triple.
Matt McClain's first big league bomb. Spencer Steer's first big league hit is a home run to straightaway center field. Joey Votto's done it again. The pitch. Votto swings high in the air. Right field. Yes! He pointed to the dugout to say, I told you. That is Joey Votto's 315th career go-ahead ribby. Only Johnny Bench had more as a Red.
And I can't tell you how much it means to play in front of everyone here in Cincinnati as a Red. What a gift. What a tremendous gift. So thank you. Thank you.
I think I can speak for all of Reds country. Joey Votto, thank you.
High drive, left center field, racing back to the wall, Bourgeois. The Reds are National League Central Division champions. In the air, left center field. Did he? He did! He did! Reds win! Reds win! Line to right field. Genius, the first Red ever with 4 home runs in a game. Can you believe it? In the air, down the right field line. Doesn't have a chance. The Reds have won on a 3-run home run on opening day by Ramon Hernandez. A strike away and out away is Homer Bailey. Ground ball to third. Frazier gloves. Throw to first, and Homer Bailey
right, it's a winning edition of Chatterbox Reds on a September 4th, 2024. This is one of those games, Nick, where if you didn't have the television on, like right as the game had started, maybe you're just leisurely coming back to the house, you probably would have turned the television on and asked yourself, like, what in the hell happened? And the Reds just jumped out on top. I think it was the most runs they had scored. Maybe you'll know this in the box score recap. But it was like Sadak said maybe it was the most runs they had scored in 20-some-odd years. So, in the first inning, of course. But in a weird way, not a whole lot tonight that I feel like I'm overly excited about. But I also want to openly say that I'm thrilled to watch winning baseball. It's much more enjoyable than to sit here and continue to kind of live in a pit of misery. Nick, did you see all 9 runs in the first, I assume?
Yeah, I mean, I saw all 9 runs, always trying to do 5 things.
I didn't see all 9. I seen the first, obviously, I think I seen the first 5, and then I didn't see the couple of walks because I just got sidetracked. And the fact that it went from 5 to 9 as fast as it did, too. I don't know, it just weird inning. Wild inning.
Yeah, I don't know. Behind the scenes, if anyone cares, the Red social teams were just not on it tonight. And so, like, I'm watching, my parents are up here, and my dad's here, and, like, my dad's like, wow. Like, he never watches baseball. He's like, wow, what an inning. And I'm, like, on my phone, frustrated. They're not tweeting out the highlights. I'm trying to coordinate this. Like, I'm not even happy.
Yeah. Nick, we got to get you out of that funk. I mean, here's the thing. Your dad's in town. That's cool. This is your first time your dad's watched the Reds all year or something like that?
Well, whenever I was there last, or whenever you came up here last time, probably.
So he's only watched like a couple games all year. Did he thinks they're great?
Yeah, I had to explain to him, like, this is not normal. But.
Oh, I wish I lived that life. Just, man, Reds are good this year. Well, not really.
Did you catch that game? 9 runs in the first inning.
Yeah. David Bell, all-star coach, not a manager. I don't want to give him credit, but hey,
Good
all-star
job.
coach. I guess we'll do the box score recap. We got deep drives. So, also, shout out to that lady who got smoked in the face. Next time, you got to pay attention a little bit more.
Win some, you lose some.
Yeah. She didn't win. Well, maybe she did win. She got some airtime. Jake Fraley came and said hi. So good for her.
Got a story.
Yeah, definitely. Great story. Kind of. Box score recap presented by Nick Kirby.
All right, Reds taking on the Astros. Reds enter the game on a 7-game win streak against Houston dating back to 2019. Nick Martinez threw a perfect top of the first, striking out Yordan Alvarez and Yanier Diaz. And then the Reds offense went to work against Spencer Aranguetti. Aranguetti making his first start in September after being the American League Rookie of the Month in August, when he put up a 1.95 ERA in 5 starts. Jonathan India greeted Mr. Aranguetti with a bomb to straightaway center field. Then the Reds' offense was relentless. They would end up sending 13 batters to the plate in the bottom of the first. They would chase Aranguetti and charge him with 9 runs in 0.2 innings of work. Ellie De La Cruz had 2 hits in the inning, including a double. Friedel and Rosario also doubled in the Reds' big inning. Reds offense would put up another run in the third on an Ellie De La Cruz double and a Tyler Stevenson RBI single. They put up 2 more in the fifth on an RBI single from Friedel and Steer. And then Nick Martinez on the pitching side cruised through the first 5 innings. He did struggle a bit in the fifth after an error from Espinal. Espinal, side note, made a really great play earlier in the game, one of the better plays of the year. Martinez went over 100 pitches for the first time in his Reds career, and he threw the most pitches that he's thrown in an MLB game since July 4th, 2016. Martinez final line 5 2/3, 6 hits, 4 runs, only one of them earned, 3 walks and 7 strikeouts. And then Brent Suter got through 3 1/3, just allowed 1 run. Reds win 12-5. Reds now 67-73 on the season, and the Reds have won 8 straight games against the Houston Astros.
All right, the deep drive of the day is, well, it's the drive that got the whole thing started. Right off the rip. Our leader, our fearless leader, the leader of all leaders, Jonathan India. It's 14th on a fly ball to center field. 106 off the bat, 436 feet. That's not a cheap home run, folks. I mean, if you can hit a ball 106 miles an hour off the bat and it goes 436 feet, that's something to be proud about. And Jonathan India should be proud tonight because he is the DSC Deep Drive of the Day. DSC is a leader in renewable commodities, specializing in biofuels. What am I doing here? What am I doing?
Biofuel production?
Yeah, biofuel production.
Used cooking oil collection?
Yes.
Aggregation? What about sales?
No. And sales, Nick. And sales. Visit www.deepsouthcommodities.com for more information. You know, here's the deal. I have been doing this for like 3 weeks where I just don't have the read in front of me because, you know, it's just in my brain. You take 2 days off, you don't have the read in front of you, you miss one word, and your brain it goes, that's not right. Stop. That's what happened.
Abort.
That's what happened. Wasn't good. So shout out to John and his team at DSC. Shout out to Jonathan India for giving us a deep drive of the day. 8 in a row. Well, here's the thing, Nick. Can we get to 500? Do you think we can get to 500? Genuinely?
No, not with this pitching. There's no chance.
Right.
I mean, I guess you never can say anything because baseball is crazy. You win 8 games in a row against the Houston Astros.
Right.
But no, I mean, I don't think they have the pitching to. And they'd have to get really lucky. Well, they'd have to have a reverse of May.
Yeah, that's just not going to happen. 8 in a row against the Astros, yes, that's all well and good, but they got a chance to sweep the Astros, and if they sweep the Astros, it kind of the day off there, it kind of like elongates it. It kind of makes you feel like you're playing better than maybe you were because you haven't lost in so long. Certainly feels like this team, for whatever reason, is gonna do something that just makes you upset, even if they're playing well. And I'm expecting them to do something like goofy at the end of the season, like win, I don't know, 10 of their last 13 games or something, and they find themselves, I don't know, a game or something like that under 500, and you're just scratching your head like, what a dumb season this was. But here we are, eight in a row against the Astros. It's the opposite of the Brewers. Let's face it. We just we had the Brewers in town not too long ago. Welcome the Astros in, and it's just the roles reverse. The weird thing is like, if you're an Astros fan, it's hard to make sense of this, I would assume.
Yeah, it's like when the Reds got swept by the Tigers. It was kind of hard to make sense of it. Baseball is a stupid game, you know, and individual games, individual series, anything can happen. I think the White Sox beat the Baltimore Orioles tonight. They were like plus 300 and something. It just you can't make too big a deal about these one games. Like I'm glad everyone's happy and thrilled tonight. I mean, I'm happy it was fun to watch, but
right,
you know, it's just like when they lose a game that they shouldn't. It's, you know, same thing. Well, sometimes it's just baseball.
Nick Arnold does bring up the fact that he says no one should want to sweep the Astros. If they do, they're automatically getting swept the next series, which if you've watched this season, it's pretty much the storyline. So might not be wrong. All right. I don't know what to make. I don't know what else to make of the Astros thing. Obviously, they have a very good team. And, you know, the other day I was even thinking to myself when I was at the game and you have Alvarez come up to the plate and he absolutely smokes a baseball to end the game. And you just think to yourself, like, sometimes it's just your day, and like sometimes it just doesn't go your way. And it feels like lately some things that have happened for the Reds. A perfect example today, which I don't know if anyone would care about it, but the ground ball double play to Ellie, where he's like just standing right at the middle with the shift, right? The semi shift there when he's up the middle. It's like, does that shift work perfectly when it's like a tie game 2-2 in the 8th inning when your back's up against the wall? bases loaded, or does it only work when you're up, 12-1? It seems like it's just like, I don't know. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't half the time. And here we go again with the Reds. I'm excited they won again. I'm not trying to downplay what they did tonight. It was nice to see the offense. Speaking of the Reds offense, we'll jump into that first. I want to make something really quick. Ty France has been unbelievable. And Ty France was a big reason that they were able to make this inning get extended. Because, if you look at a 9-run inning, Nick, you might think, they were never really in threat of not scoring or putting up a big number. Well, they kind of were. I mean, they only had 2 runs across. Ty France comes up with 2 outs, and he gets a big hit, and then obviously it just snowballs after that. There's a lot of other people that deserve credit that got big hits in the first inning that made it 9-0. Yes, but Ty France specifically got a massive hit that kind of gave the Reds a little bit more of a traditional cushion than just 2-0.
Yeah. France had a big hit. It's good to see, Ellie had some really good swings tonight. That's one thing I'm really watching and interested in. Like, it's not going to change one bit how I feel about Ellie De La Cruz going into next year. But if there is one thing concern's not the right word, but something to track, is Ellie De La Cruz. Obviously last year struggled down the stretch. He also struggled in 2022 in the minor leagues at the end of the year. I feel like he might have also in 2021 at the end of the year. So, as Ellie's a player that obviously exerts a ton of energy on any given night, steals a lot of bases, does that wear on you throughout the course of the year? So I think how he finishes the year is important, just because obviously next year we have high aspirations for this team. And, obviously the Reds are going to need Ellie De La Cruz for 162 games. So that's something, if he is able to finish this year strong, and by strong, I mean maybe even have like an average September. I think that's really a good sign for him and kind of his development as an all-around player that can lead you to the next level next year.
Well, I think Ellie, again, to remind everybody, is incredibly young. He's starting to kind of feel comfortable. As unique as that may sound, you can't convince me for a second in his rookie season he felt, fully comfortable in the big leagues. I think this season's kind of breaking out of his mold a little bit, and I expect next season, and I hope I'm right on this, obviously, but I expect next season where he's already a star, but I don't think he's viewed by many people nationally as one of the best players in the game. And I know that sounds crazy to say because we watch him night in and night out, and we get to see all the things that kind of his potential kind of it's not just his potential, but it's his production of what he's doing now. Like I don't ever kind of want to downplay the type of season he's having now, because it's a damn great. I don't want to say it's a damn good. It's a great year. And the thing about Ellie is I fully expect him to be a full-fledged star. And I know everybody wants to make a big deal about the whole Ellie. You have him until 2029. Calm down. Cool the jets. Why are you always worried about whether you extend him or don't extend him? It's because I still think the stock's relatively low. It's not low, but it's still at a point where I think the Reds could come in with a really big number and just say, hey, you'll never have to worry about anything ever again. You blow, now we don't want to do this, but something happens to you from a health perspective, you're taken care of. You want to take the risk, go ahead, but here it is. And the Reds can use that as leverage, and I hope they do, but people think I'm crazy for saying that. And I just think every single year that ticks by after this one, the price only goes up, and the price goes up so much more significantly from an AAV standpoint that I think it's going to be harder and harder for the Reds to be able to compete and be able to kind of, I don't want to say swing, hit with the big boys, but that's the truth. I don't want to spend too much time on Ellie tonight, but that's what, it just crosses my mind every single time we talk about him, because it's like, he's a star. I hope people realize that. I mean, he is a full-fledged star. Other at-bats, I'm thankful that Tyler Stevenson didn't make 2 outs in the first inning. I was actually very concerned about that. I really was. because he's had such a good last call it month and a half. I don't think it would have affected his mojo. Maybe I don't think it would have gotten in his head too much, but it is embarrassing. I've never done it, but there's been opportunities where I could have done it in my life, and trust me, you are doing nothing but think about that when you walk up there. In Stevenson's case, he's able to get on base and didn't make 2 outs in the same inning. Other than that, you mentioned the Espinal. I don't know if he's on the rundown at all, but I know did he end up getting a hit towards the end of the game or no? I think
he did not.
Yeah,
he had
so
2 walks.
Yeah, I thought he had some good at bats again tonight. I know that he didn't showcase maybe on the box score that he had a good night, but you had mentioned the defensive play he made. I thought it was it was a great play. I thought that the other play he made was a good play too. It's just that you don't have I don't know what France's first base OAA is or anything like that, but I mean, I would say a competent first baseman should scoop that baseball, but kind of is what it is. I hate that that's an error. Of all the errors that we see all year long, the fact that that's an error is just, I don't know. It's ridiculous, to be honest.
Yeah, a couple other just, quick thoughts on the Reds offense. TJ Friedl, 2 hits. Really good to see. I mean, TJ Friedl, we talk about him and we love him and I love him too, but his numbers aren't good this year. And he's gotten a pass because of the injuries, and I think mostly that's fair, but his numbers he's hitting 219 with a 685 OPS. So be nice to see him kind of finish the year strong. I still believe in him. There's no reason not to believe in him, but again, it would be nice to see him finish strong. And then Jonathan India, good to see him. Obviously, the deep drive of the day. He's had one great month this year and a bunch of average months. It'd be nice to see him kind of capitalize and finish strong. And then Ahmed Rosario, I don't know what to make of him, but he's been a nice piece for the Reds. I'm not really sure I love him getting at bats, but as someone who has to watch this team every night, I also kind of enjoy having someone that, especially at the bottom of the order that feels really at least competent and has a plan at the plate and it puts the ball in play. Unfortunately, we saw a lot of it, whether it's been Benson or Marte, it's just been a lot of really ugly swing and miss at the bottom of the order. So it's been nice. I don't know if it means it. I know it really doesn't mean a whole lot, but it is nice to watch as a fan of a baseball team.
I completely agree. We'll have that discussion here in the back half of the rundown of what do you do with Marte? What do you do with Benson? What do you do with some of these guys that you'd like to get? Rhys Hines. What do you do with these guys that you'd like to get some at-bats to, yet they sit here at the big league club and they're really not getting a whole lot of runs? So what do we do there? We'll talk about that right on the back half. But before we get to that, game time. If you're looking to go to a game, I got an alert today, Nick. I have my notifications on for the Game Time app. It said Reds. Enjoy the Reds for less than $10 today. Now is the day. I'm sure tomorrow, my guess is businessman special. My guess is you're probably still, very affordable to get down to the ball yard. If you're looking to go to a concert, maybe you're looking to go to the NFL games or college football, considering it's back. Download the Game Time app today and use the code CINCY, C-I-N-C-Y. You get $20 off your first purchase. Me and Nick both have used the app, and we've used it quite well. I've used it multiple times. I've not been disappointed one time. And 2 clicks, you can check out. All your fees are included. Just make sure that that's the icon clicked at the top of the screen there, that you have the fees included, and you will not be surprised when you get to the checkout. So download the Game Time app today. Use the code CINCY, C-I-N-C-Y, for $20 off your first purchase. And Nick, we do want to let everybody know the terms do apply. 988 on a night like tonight might not feel like the need, but you know what? You never know. So if you ever need it, please know it exists. 988, text and or call if you're ever going through anything rough. Life is better with you in it. All right, mantherapy.org as well. Don't want to forget those folks. mantherapy.org. All right, Martinez obviously starts the game. I know that you had mentioned that he kind of got roughed up there towards the end, if you want to call it that. I don't want to call it that, but I guess that's the only word that came to mind there relatively soon. I want to blame the fact that he had to walk like literally a half a mile before he went back out there and pitched again. I understand why he does that, Nick. Some people have nervous energy. They don't want to sit. It consumes their brain and they can't handle it. But when you have to sit there that long, or for his case, walk, that has to at some point be a negative effect on your just overall ability to stay deep into a baseball game, because you're just going to be so worn out. And the thing about Martinez is he's probably not used to having to go like as long as he did tonight, right? More times than not, if he is a starting pitcher, he's kind of like a 5 innings, 4 innings, and he's probably, if it's a close game, you're looking to maybe go to the pen. But this ball club needs as many innings as they can, and Martinez threw over the 100 pitch mark. But he probably walked. I'm not kidding. If he had a little bracelet on that told him how many steps, I think he walked about 12 miles.
Okay,
that's about my guess. Yeah, a good full day at Kings Island. No free ads.
Yeah, I just want Martinez back. I really like him. He's
a fun guy.
He fits his team so well, just with his ability to fill that whatever you need role. And I have a take here. I don't. Maybe it's hot. I don't know. I'm more confident in the Reds' offense in 2025 if they roll the ball out with the exact same roster. We said many times they shouldn't do that. I'm more confident in the Reds' offense with the current players in the organization than I am the Reds' pitching staff's ability to stay healthy.
That's crazy.
I'm more confident that
that's crazy.
If you had to tell me the 2025 Reds, they're not going to make a single move. Same players, obviously. You're getting CES and McLean.
Let's debate.
They can be that group can be an above average offense versus the starting pitching's ability to stay healthy over 162. I think I'm more confident in the offense.
I think the pitching has a little more depth to it once you add in Rhett Lauder for another year. I think, and I'm going to go out, and here's, I guess, if we're going to do a hot take tonight, my hot take is that Chase Burns is ready to go. Doesn't need it. He's ready to go. You don't get any better numbers than he gets. I mean, what's he going to work on? Is he going to work on his spin rate being a little bit better? Is he going to work on his fastball? He's going to throw it more harder than 101 mile an hour? No. And I'm done with the whole notion of you have to go to the minor leagues just to make sure that they're ready to go mentally. I've seen Chase Burns pitch. I like his competitive spirit. He's coming right out of the rip onto this big league club. And I'm sure we'll get into it, Reds MILB. Connor Phillips might have just had a horrific year, and maybe he'll bounce back and surprise us all. So maybe I'm being overly optimistic about all these pitchers, yeah. But those are 3 guys that didn't help us at all this year. Not even a single bit. Now you can add in, obviously, all the guys that we talk about every single year that, yeah, I would agree with you. Not too sure how much you can trust them. But between Nick Lodolo, Hunter Green, I guess you're going to put in Ashcraft there. Andrew Abbott. And I'm naming a bunch of guys that aren't healthy right now. I get it. But I don't know. They're another year older, wiser, hopefully, a little stronger. I'm going to go out on a limb and say if they have the same offense they have this year, it's just my brain's going to hurt. Simple as that. I need some help. I mean, I can't.
Again, I said they should get help.
I know you're not saying they shouldn't do that.
I said that.
I know.
I said that. I prefaced that. My biggest concern is no one's thrown 150 innings. I think people like Tom get put into this group like, no, none of the starters have gone through a full season, and that's like an old school take. No, I think that's a realistic take. I think that's a realistic concern. That's my concern right now. That is as deflating as anything, in my opinion, about how this season's gone on, is that none of these starting pitchers pitched all the way through the season. I think that's a bigger deal. I think it gets glossed over because the pitching staff was so good and the offense was so inept at times. But
do you think it has anything to do with the Reds, where the Reds stand right now?
It might.
I 100% think it does, and I'm not saying that's the right way to go about it, but I just think it is. I think Hunter Green hits his elbow in the corner of a cabinet. He's got a little bit of a bruise. They're like, screw it. We don't want to risk it. Andrew Abbott, we don't really like your velo right now. Your spin's not there. Let's shut you down for a little while. And we don't, there's no reason to hurt it. So I'm not against what you're saying. There's 100% truth behind what you're saying. I'm not over the moon about the idea of going into next season with really no legitimate veteran pitchers, starting pitchers that have logged a boatload of innings where you can go into the year expecting something like you used to have in Bronson Arroyo, right? Like, if anything, Bronson Arroyo probably was never a top of the line guy, and we all know that. But he's very competitive, and he was there. He's like the Spencer Steer of pitching, and maybe we need a Spencer Steer-ish of pitching, right? And that's kind of what you're saying, is like you kind of need to have somebody that's going to be able to stick this out. It's a good debate. I think it's a fun debate, but it's clearly a situation where it can kind of make you a little depressed because you feel like you need help in both places, and you find yourself back into another area where, maybe we got it so wrong this offseason that this next upcoming offseason will get it so right, in the sense of we build a boatload of depth. Because I think we went into this offseason, and if you want to get on anybody, like you've said before, we can get on Nick Krall in the front office for just assuming and making too many assumptions on way too many young players that they had something that they didn't have. And not only do you not know what they're going to produce on the field, as we're coming to find out, you don't know what the durability of these guys are either. And I think that they just swung and missed on that this offseason. Maybe they'll go overboard this year, and we'll have so much depth going into the spring training. We're like, I don't know what the hell's going on. Where are all these guys going to play? And eventually, like it always does, it sorts itself out, and we realize we're very thankful we have so many depth pieces, if you want to call it that. But I'm still sticking to the offense, but I'm not boo-hooing your whole take. I think it's a good take.
Yeah, just something I was kind of thinking about today, and I was kind of like, I don't know. I hope, Trace, that we have situations next year where we have people just pissed off that the Reds sent this guy down to AAA. Because, I used to think that was tiresome. Man, that sounds wonderful, right? I mean, remember last year, like we were like, the Reds are sending that guy down to AAA. And I don't think they've sent a single player down to AAA that anyone's been mad at all year this year. Has there been a single player that got demoted that people were mad about? I mean, last year there was like multiple times that there was
there was one that I thought you were doing a bit, but you're being serious.
Am I just completely?
No, you're not. It's just it's such no. Listen, it's such a small prospect that that we probably shouldn't have been so upset about it. I think it was more or less the fact that we were frustrated about how the season was going than anything. Mike Ford was a guy that they're probably no, that's not even the guy I'm thinking of. But Mike Ford's a guy that I'm thinking of that we probably can all look back on and think, well, we were just begging at that point. But the guy that I was thinking of was Rhys Hines. He got sent down, and everybody was pissed.
That's true.
Because he got sent down, and Rhys Hines was hitting like 320 with 9 home runs. And I'm joking, he had 5, but it was all within a week, and everybody was excited. He went to AAA, struck out 900 times, and whatever. But nonetheless, all right. Just to round out that topic, Suter. He came in and did a good job, and what he always does, he comes in these mop-up roles. I thought he threw the ball well, threw strikes, and I'm glad to have him back. He's a guy, quite frankly, could have shut it down too. I mean, he really could have. He could have been like, I just don't want to risk it. Blah blah blah. My arm's not feeling good. These guys can milk injuries. You can act. I know that they can get MRIs, and the team can say, well, nothing's wrong. Why are you? They're always going to lean towards the player safety in those situations. So shout out to Suter for getting back on the mound.
Suter and Martinez both. I mean, they're the two best signings this offseason, and they both pitched tonight. And they're the two players that fit this team perfectly. Like, they are exactly what this team needed. Suter on the more of a relieving side, multiple innings. Martinez is the swing man. So yeah, Suter signed next year, I think. I think he has an option. I assume the Reds will pick it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, him and Martinez, they are the perfect complements for this team. And I still think I think the Reds should add a veteran starter this offseason. I don't think it has to be anyone incredible. And just build that depth up. And if you have really good pitchers at AAA, well, good problem to have. But Suter and Martinez, man, they definitely fill their role very well, and they're very needed for this team. I think they're very needed next year. And if you lose them, you need some type of player to replace them.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, it's one of those things where I'm not going to get too overly worried about it just because when we came into the season, Martinez was certainly that, but Suter was a guy where it's like, all right, whatever we get, we get. I'm not overly concerned about what happens there. And it turns out he was great, so maybe we'll find another Suter. Marte and Benson, we talked about in the front half, teased at the idea of getting into this topic. I am torn on this a little bit. I don't have a hot take one way or the other. I would say this. I think when you're in the big leagues, if you play for a good organization, you should be the best person for the job. You should be the best person for the job, and whoever the best player is plays, because this is the big leagues, and that's the responsibility of a professional franchise, is to put the best product they can on the field. Having said that, we all know the situation that we currently are in, Nick, and clearly Marte and Benson both have brighter futures for the Reds, at least we hope, God, we hope, than Amed Rosario and I would think Ty France. Not trying to go over the moon. Ty France has been great, so you have to keep him in there, sure. But I Espinal maybe. I mean, but again, Espinal's played great. I think that's the problem, Nick, is you have Rosario, who's played well. You have Ty France, who's played great. And you have Espinal, who's been the better player at third base by far than Marte. So now you have to ask the question of what do you do here? But Marte and Benson have to get at bats at some point, and so does Rhys Hines. So I don't know. I hate to say it, but I don't know what you do. I really I don't have a hot take on it. I know I should. Do you have one? Do you have a strong opinion on this?
I have a joking take. Can we send Benson and Marte down to Dayton?
I thought about it. I swear on my life, I just thought that. That's kind of cheating.
Probably goes against a lot of unwritten rules, I'm sure.
I'm sure. Yeah.
I'm sure there'd be some people get upset about that, but that'd be fun. Just get them go down, get their confidence up.
As long as they have openings in Dayton, I don't want Marte or Benson coming in and taking somebody's job that's been grinding on the bus all year long. Okay, just if there's an injury or something like that, maybe we sink them in. But yeah, outside the joke, you gotta.
There's only 3 weeks left in the minor league season and the AAA season.
Right. There's only 4 in the big leagues.
At this point, I think you let them stay on the big league roster. You would also, at this point, be burning an option for Benson, which I don't think is what like.
Yeah, you're not going to do that.
There's no purpose of doing that at this point. I'd be curious to know what they're doing behind the scenes with both of those guys, because I think that matters. Are they working behind the scenes on certain things? Maybe Espinal playing really well is really good for Marte. Maybe Marte, came back, was kind of anointed as this guy, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think with where the Reds were, I think they rolled the dice and they rolled a crap hand, but I think that was the right decision. But I think it's good for Marte to say, look, this guy can really play, man. You want to play, either you have to beat Espinal, or maybe we'll bring in another free agent or whatnot. So I think that's good for him. And then, Benson, just feel like they're just trying to pick their spots with him and try to find good matchups for him. I think Benson right now is a guy that's going to be, I think Benson might be lower in terms of probability of making the opening day roster than Marte maybe at this point.
I think that's 100% true. I think Benson's going to find himself in a spot where he's going to have to be significantly better for him to continue to get the same opportunities he got this season.
Yeah.
He was very fortunate this season for a lot of things that have happened to get as many opportunities as he got. I think that the McLean injury had a domino effect on him having the ability to get more opportunities. I also think TJ Friedel getting hurt, the amount of times that he got hurt gave him opportunities. Jake Fraley playing very, very poorly and being in and out gave him a lot of opportunities. Will Benson is incredibly lucky to have been on the big league roster all year. He just is. There's no reason that he should have been, but just by happen chance and by luck, he was. And that's nothing against Will. I don't want it to be like, Will's never going to be a big league player. I just think that, and rightfully so, this team is going to require hopefully require significantly more production to be given opportunities next season. Because it felt like this year was a rebuild. If we're being honest, it kind of felt like this season, the way it all played out, you kind of were forced to play guys that you aren't really wanting to play on an everyday basis because they're just not consistent enough yet. They're not good enough players yet. And that's why we have the inconsistent results and we find ourselves on September 4th disappointed in the season because we had to play too many of these guys that probably should have been in AAA, Nick. If we're being honest, we have a lot of AAA players that played in the big leagues a long time this season. And now, hopefully, you get an idea of what Benson and Marte are up against. And I 100% agree with you with Marte and Espinal. If anything, if Marte's got a little bit of competitive spirit, this sucks right now. I mean, it just does. Not playing is the worst. Sitting on the bench is the worst. And I get people are going to make jokes about the steroids, this, that, and the next. Marte's going to have to work hard, man. He's going to have to work hard. He's going to have to make sure this offseason, and I don't know if he's going to play in the Winter League or not. Maybe he will. I would suggest that he does. He did last year. He's going to have to obviously, and the thing that sucks is I thought he had progression last year in the Winter League until he got hurt, and it's funny how fickle this game can be. One day you're on top of the mountain, the next day you're at the bottom looking up. So I still believe in Marte, though. I want that to be very clear. Like, I think that people are too down and out on Marte way too fast. Yes, I get the steroid thing, and by all accounts, maybe I'm wrong on this. I don't think the steroids made Marte. I don't. I know that numbers and everything have looked as if it does. I get that, but the sample size is way too small. Way too small on a young player to be down and out on him. I still am a believer that Marte is going to be a big contributor to this franchise. And let's not forget, Nick, let's all be very clear. He did not burn up a year of service time this year. This was just a free year for the Reds. So it's almost as if it was null void. I guess my last point is if Marte got suspended all year long and you never seen him play a single pitch, what would be your mindset or your optimism going into the 2025 season with him? My guess is it would be incredibly high. My question back to you would be, why would you be so high on a guy that hadn't played in a year and a half, basically, versus a guy that's getting his feet wet and starting to try to get a little bit of the same guy we've seen in 2024, or 2023, excuse me. So I don't know. We'll see. But Marte, Benson, they're not going to burn options. And, Marte's not as big of a deal. Was Marte, you can't burn an option with Marte, right? Like, you could send him up and down, and I think it's just free.
No, you burn an option for him at this point because he started the year, because he's on the 40-man roster. I had said some bad information about Rhett Lauder. Rhett Lauder coming up does not count as an option because he was not on the 40-man roster. He was added. Now, if he got sent back down, that would count as an option. So him coming up doesn't count as an option.
So he'll stay too.
Yeah, he's going to stay or be shut down and put on the IL or whatever, the rest IL. But I think that is absolutely. I mean, I think the fact that Marte and Benson have stayed in the big leagues doesn't mean anything about them starting the year in AAA or not next year. I think it's just a matter of, all right, they're down to two options. We don't want to burn one right now. And then come 2026, if we, one or both of those guys are kind of still not where we want them to be, we don't have the option to send them down. So I absolutely think that's a big reason why in both players' cases they're still here. But again, what are they really going to gain at AAA? I mean, are they really going to go down and have maybe Benson, but is Marte going to go down to AAA and have some big renaissance moment and be great? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
Like wishful thinking.
I think we're doing a lot of wishful thinking as Reds fans right now, and I there's really nowhere else to go until you find the place that we all don't know. Here's the thing that sucks, if we're being honest. We don't really know what winning baseball consistently looks like a whole lot. We've not seen it a whole lot. We've seen it maybe once or twice, and that's the sad thing. But so I think at this point we're just hopeful that we're going to have a young core of guys that will come up and be what we need them to be, which is good players. I mean, let's face it. And this is the thing that's semi-scary at times. We all know that between McLean, CES, and Marte, we need to hit on at least one of them as a above average player, and consistently being healthy too. Like, it can't be just like, oh, he's here half the year, but when he is here, he's great. That's next to worthless. So we'll see. 2025, I still get excited when I think of 2025, so that's a good thing. It just can't go as bad as it went this year. It just seems like you can't get that unlucky. But I'm not going to say we can't, because I don't want anybody beating my front door down in case it does. All right, we have a question from Ned Flanders before we jump into Reds MILB. Good question. He says, so who gets their major league start first, Chase Burns or Chase Petty? I obviously, my answer is going to be Burns. Chase Petty's throwing the ball relatively well at recent too, so Chase Burns, man. I don't. Maybe I'm overblowing this guy, but I mean, he's big league ready. He's big league ready, and I don't. Maybe I'll be proved wrong, but his stuff is nasty. And the question is he ready to throw enough innings to be big league ready? That's the only part where I'll hesitantly say, Nick, I'm not sure, because you can see what happens with Paul Skeens this year, where it's like, is he on an inning limit or not? But people are going to think I'm crazy for saying this. I think he's not that far off of Paul Skeens. I don't think he is. I really don't. Now, maybe I'll be made a fool of that, but I don't think he is.
He was number 2 pick in the draft. I mean, he's got to be pretty close. I mean, Skeens wasn't even a consensus number 1 when he was drafted, right? I mean, there was a lot of people that thought that Dylan Cruz should go number 1. So, I mean, he's certainly right there. I mean, Paul Skeens made 7 starts at AAA, so that's probably, around 10 starts is probably about what the minimum will be. I don't think he'll be on the opening day roster. I wouldn't say it's completely out of the question. I think it's unlikely. But
service
you're
time's
probably
the question.
I don't think they look at service time as much with pitchers. I think position players, they certainly do. Pitchers, I don't know. There's also the whole,
Rookie of the year.
Rookie of the year, where the Pirates are going to lose a year of service time to Skeens.
I don't know.
Anyway.
Is he going to be rookie of the year?
Yeah. Well, it does. No, it's top 2. Top 2. He's going to.
Oh, it's top 2.
So they're going to lose a year of service time.
So
that's why,
matter,
yeah. Well, I mean, again, you have to finish top 2, but the Pirates they're going to lose that year of service time this year, anyways.
Right. And they don't get their. He's got to be rookie of the year for them not to get their comp pick. Yeah.
No, you have to be on the opening day roster to get the comp pick.
Well, I'm saying they're not going to get it because they're
not going to get it because he wasn't on the opening day roster. So honestly, it almost is. In some ways,
it's a good risk reward.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It is. I mean, again, if I'm a betting man, am I going to bet that Burns finishes in the top 2? I'm going to probably take the no, right? I mean, I think that if DraftKings was making an odds, you're going to get plus money in the no as the top 2, right? Just because of the nature of how these things work, but it's certainly possible. But anyways, 10 starts is probably about the minimum. Rhett Lauder is probably about the maximum, again, assuming health. I mean, I think you're looking at either you see him in mid-May to August. I mean, I think that's when he's debuting. At some point, he's a contributor next year.
The question is, when do you think Petty's going to come up? So I think, is your answer Burns?
Yeah, my answer is definitely Burns. But I mean, the thing I don't know if Petty, I think, is younger than Burns.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, I mean, like, Petty was drafted out of high school, so I mean, Petty is still crazy young.
Petty was a first-round pick from the Twins.
Yeah, 7th overall, 26th overall. Yeah. But I would honestly say that Burns has almost more high-level experience than Petty does, right? Because Petty just got to Double-A. Yeah. I mean, Burns was pitching in the College World Series. Pitching in the SEC, which I know there's a lot of. I've seen a lot of like articles that are like legit talking about how the SEC is better than lot of the minor leagues. It's a better development system for a lot of these players. So It's not like a knock on Petty, but yeah, I would say Petty's.
For those that are going to say they're going to call you out and say he threw in the ACC because he went to Wake Forest. He did just because you're 100% right. You're still right. You're still right. I'm going to defend you. You know why? I don't even know if you know this, but he started his freshman year at Tennessee, so he did pitch in the
That's
SEC.
what I was thinking.
I knew. Yeah. But nonetheless, hey, he's and he was a stud when he went to Tennessee. And I think the only reason that he didn't get drafted out of high school, for those that are wondering why Chase Burns maybe didn't get drafted out of high school, he was a top of the guy. He was one of the top prospects. But I think his asking price was like $8 million or something. He was in the same class as my brother, so he actually played on my brother's team. So I didn't see him, but I was talking to my stepdad about Chase Burns the other day, and he said the first time he seen Burns pitch, he threw like 99 on the inside corner, threw 99 on the outside corner, and then threw a breaking ball. And he's like, that guy's going to probably make a lot of money one day. And he wasn't wrong. So we'll see. But Chase Burns, I think, is easily the pick who gets the big leagues first. But that's not a guarantee in regards to who's going to be better, because I think Chase Petty could be really good. All right. We got who, what, when, where, and why. We got some traditions as usual. And we also have Reds MILB, because at this point, Reds MILB may be like the one thing that we do on a daily basis on this show that are actually entertaining. Just saying.
Got some good stuff tonight. Mixed bag. We got mixed bag. Start off with the really good. How about Louisville? 10-2 winners over Jacksonville. They needed a win. They had lost 14 out of 15 entering. And how about Connor Phillips? 6 innings, 4 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. First time he's got through 6 innings the entire year. So that in itself is awesome. First time he's not allowed to run in a start of the season. So also awesome. Fastball up to 99. The velocity of all 4 of his pitches were up. Curveball, I think, was up over 3 miles per hour. Phillips got 12 whiffs on 46 swings. They give up 6 hard hit balls, but man, just to see some positive results from Connor Phillips, great to see. Going to probably get a couple more starts this year. Hopefully he can finish the year strong. Lyon Richardson also returned. He hadn't pitched in almost a month. Last time he pitched was August 11th. He had been in the IL. He threw 1 scoreless inning. Reaver San Martin threw a scoreless inning as well. Jacob Hurtubise 1 for 5 with a double. Joey Weimer 1 for 3 with a walk. Edwin Rios hit his 15th home run of the year, drove in 5. And how about Davis Wenzel? He just got DFA'd by the Reds on August 30th, cleared waivers, came back to the Reds, had hit 0 home runs in his first 27 games with Louisville, hit 2 home runs on Wednesday night. So shout out to Davis Wenzel. Tough night for Chattanooga, believe it or not. They lose 6-0 to Montgomery, loss number 86, now 41-86 on the year. But Dominic Patelli had a great day, on base 4 times and stole 2 bags, 40 stolen bases for Patelli between Daytona and Chattanooga. Austin Hendrick 0 for 4. Luis May out of the bullpen, perfect inning with a strikeout. All right, Dayton, they lose 6-3 to Great Lakes. A lot of guys got the day off as they just clinched in their last game. As a reminder, they will play their first playoff game next Tuesday, September 10th, 7:05 p.m. in Dayton. If you're in the area, I would encourage you to go to the game. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Your boy officially credentialed for next Thursday in Eastlake, Ohio. So I'll be there for that. Not a whole lot in this one. Cam Collier was 0 for 3. Ethan O'Donnell 0 for 4. And then Hector Rodriguez, Jay Allen, and Leo Balcazar all got the days off. All right, and then to Daytona, they lose 8-6 to Bradenton. The Tortugas, they're backing their way possibly into the playoffs. They've lost 4 of 5 and just 3 and 7 in the last 10 games, but their magic number dropped to 2 tonight because Jupiter lost. Tortugas 4 games to play, magic number of 2. Sammy Stafora 0 for 3, did walk twice. Ricardo Cabrera left the game after being hit by a pitch. This guy has had a lot of injuries this year. Peyton Stovall, draft pick out of Arkansas this year. Another great day, 3 for 5 with a double. He's looked really good so far down in Daytona. So that's your Reds MILB. We'll continue to track Daytona. I want to ask you this, because our friends over at Off the Bench said that the Reds minor league teams making the playoffs means absolutely nothing. your thoughts?
Those guys have continued to be idiots. I don't know, man. I mean, sometimes you try to hire people and you think you see the best in them when you hire them, and then you realize after the fact that down the road that they got literally mush for brains. And you listen to the show every so often because you don't have I can't be everywhere at all times. It's hard for me to do a show at night, then wake up in the morning and listen to those guys for 2 hours. I've listened to them for 10, 15 minutes from time to time, and I end up turning it off, It's like I'll have to figure that out later, what we do with those guys. But the idea that it doesn't matter, I mean, I don't want to overblow it. I don't want to act like it means the world that, oh man, that your minor league teams are winning. But why don't you go look at the franchises that consistently have good organizations and see if their minor league teams win a lot? And they do. I mean, it's not rocket science that typically the best team has the best players. And typically if you have the best players on those teams that are underneath you, you have relatively decent organizational depth, and then that progresses to a good big league team. I'm not going to go over the moon and say, oh, look at Dayton. Dayton made the postseason for a reason. They got good players. Chattanooga is losing 95,000 games this season for a reason, because I look on here every single night and they got a bunch of guys that can't hit. They're terrible.
Except for Dominic.
Patelli, that's because he came from the Tortugas and he was playing so good at the Tortugas. They're like, all right, you got to go to Chattanooga. And he's like, you're going to send me to that hellhole this year? So I do feel like that. But yeah, I'm not going to sit here and say that it doesn't matter at all that they didn't win. No, I mean, it does matter. Yes, it does. And will I go overboard with, like Barry did, maybe with the winning culture thing? No. I also do think, last point, I thought it was hilarious on the broadcast. Shout out to Bally. That they were like, man, we love winning. They brought up the fact that obviously Daytona and Dayton, had really good years this year. They did not bring up the fact that Chattanooga was the world's worst baseball team, and they didn't bring up the fact that Louisville is also trying to set their own record mark for losses. So it's not all great in Reds MILB, but I'm not going to act like it doesn't matter at all. I think it's a terrible take.
I think it matters because of the players that are involved. If this was a bunch of nobodies that got to the playoffs, it wouldn't matter. But the fact that this is a lot of players that you're really hoping could be a part of your future that have all rallied in the second half, and a lot of them were after they had bad first halves. Like Cam Collier was really bad for a couple of months. Ethan O'Donnell, Leo Balcazar were really bad. They turned their season around, and I think collectively getting to the playoffs, it means something. Now, if they would have not made the playoffs, it wouldn't have been a big deal, but I think it matters. I think Chattanooga, I think their record matters too. I know there's a lot of people in the organization that I've heard from that are pretty upset that they fielded a team that bad this year, if we're being honest. Louisville, I would put absolutely no stock whatsoever in AAA results just because
I agree.
On a given night, like, who knows who's even going to be in Louisville? You're plucking players left and right. They're stuck pieces. The results for AAA, I think, are as meaningless as they come in the minor leagues. But I do think the other ones, I think Chattanooga, I think what they did, I think that matters. And I do think that Daytona and Dayton matter this year. And I think it's going to be a really cool experience. And, just really cool. I mean, like, Cam Collier is going to get a chance to play against Travis Bazzana in a playoff game that's going to have a pretty good atmosphere. I know the games at Dayton will be packed. I know Lake County will probably support that team pretty well, especially with fact they have Bazzana, and these are going to be a cool experience for these guys, and it's something to build off of for sure.
I listen, the more opportunities you get to play in meaningful baseball games, the more experience, the more you're going to feel like you belong. And let's also face the idea that if you're used to winning, I 100% believe it can give you a false sense of confidence that allows you to probably maybe play above your weight. 100%. That's why I've also kind of tended to not agree with all the time of coaches and or organizations and teams that believe that you go and play the best teams possible, even if you're going to get your butts kicked. It's like, I don't think it's a great idea as a athletic director or a coach to go and play teams that you know are so much better than you that you're not going to get anything from the game anyway. You're just going to get your tail kicked. I'd rather your team kind of win some games, maybe start to feel yourself a little bit, and then maybe just happen chance think that you're better than you are. And, not saying that that it turns out like Florida State every year, like it did for Florida State last year in college football. But I do think that winning starts to make your mindset think that you're going to win. So I don't think it's completely meaningless, but I'm not going to sit here and act like it's everything. All right. Who, what, when, where, and why? I am currently in I'm going to try to figure out if I can reach out to some folks that I know about the Dayton Dragons, and I think I have to go. I mean, I got to be honest. I think I have to go.
You have to go. I already asked Craig to cover.
Oh, there we go. I tell you what, this dude's always one step ahead.
Chatterbox Dragons next Tuesday, Thursday, and possibly Friday. Maybe a splash of the Reds. So be prepared. It's coming, baby.
Who, what, when, where, and why, baby?
Reds going for a sweep of the Houston Astros. Oh, man, what a time to be alive. Rhett Lauder, excited to see him in start number 2. I'm excited. I'm excited to see Rhett Lauder. Cool opportunity for him to get to pitch against the Astros, going for a sweep. The Reds will be going up against Hunter Brown. Really cool story. He actually pitched in Division II. Was a big fan of Justin Verlander coming up and actually replaced Justin Verlander on the roster. So I don't know if we'll talk about it on the broadcast tomorrow, but you heard it here first. Brown was a top 100 prospect in 2022. Last year, led AL rookie pitchers in innings, strikeouts, wins. Relies on 6 pitches, 4-seamer, cutter, sinker, changeup, knuckle curve, and a slider. Fastball and sinker average 96. So Hunter Brown having a really good year. Again, 11-7, 3.55 ERA. But so did Mr. Spaghetti. So we'll see if the Reds can get her done tomorrow. 1:10 p.m. start time. Last game of the homestand. Rhett Lauder. Use that Game Time app. Promo code Cincy. Get down to the ballpark. See Lauder in person. I think, you'll have a good time.
I think that's a good idea, Going to be nice weather. Listen, the weather's starting to turn in Cincinnati, too. I'm loving that right now. It's getting ready to be the most beautiful time of the year. That is the fall. Leaves are going to change. It's going to be great. I want to show you one thing. This little inside baseball. So I'm cleaning out my basement. I told you I was going to try to get a new setup. Still going to have a camera where we can do the dunks. Don't worry. But I found something. So I'm gonna show you that as I head out. But first, we're gonna do the pillow because it's tradition. I don't know if you have that around or not, Nick, but now's the time. So let's see what you got.
I skipped I was trying to get out of this. I was like, man, maybe I can.
Oh, really? You want out of it? You want out of it? I say yeah. you can get out of it next year because it's not been good. We can retire the act.
Yeah. All right, we'll just finish in 2024, whatever year this is.
Yes, I think so. You have to come up with something different. So.
All right. Fair enough.
We'll figure out what it is. Chad will figure out what it is. Some people might be upset that that's on its way. All right, this is the time of the show where I double check, make sure I didn't miss anybody. This is what I don't like about YouTube. YouTube says we have one new member, and I don't see it. So if I miss the person that's the member, I guess that's on me, but I don't see it. So shout out to all the people that are members, though. Now, Cutter Nation, we appreciate you. I'm gonna go grab what I found. So here we go. Let me go grab this.
While Trace is grabbing it, want to remind you, Chatterbox Bengals tomorrow, 7 to 8, live at the Champions Grill. So head on out down there, and then of course, if you can head down there, be live on YouTube. The guys are putting a lot of work into Chatterbox Bengals. Will be live every Tuesday at 6. Every Thursday at 7, and then live for the duration of every Bengals game this year. So be sure to check out that. And then, of course, Chatterbox Bearcats, Chuck and Houdini, big game for UC against Pittsburgh on Saturday. They'll be live with 2 minutes to go in the game, recapping that. So be sure to check out our other great programming here at Chatterbox Sports.
All right, so this actually isn't even it, but I found it, and we're going to use it since I didn't want to disappoint everybody. But check this out. I'm going to do a trivia question for you, Nick. You ready for this? And if you don't get it, I'll let the chat figure it out. Speaking of the Dayton Dragons, I have a ticket here. I think this is Cam's, my oldest son's, first baseball game. Damn, there it goes.
2012. Okay, all right.
First baseball game he's ever been to. Any idea of who played that night? Pretty famous.
Tony Cingrani.
Nope. Somebody looking up on Baseball Reference.
Who are you thinking of? Is pitcher, hitter?
It's a hitter.
A hitter? Okay.
Yes.
Hitter, 2012.
Very notable player.
Very notable player.
Oh, yeah.
Todd Frazier?
More famous than Todd Frazier?
More famous than Todd Frazier.
Yep.
Was someone on a rehab assignment?
Maybe.
Well, Votto got hurt in 2012, so.
There you go. Joey Votto. Playing for the Dayton Dragons, baby. Yep. He got his nice, I think he got a couple at-bats that night.
Nice.
Yeah. So, I'm sure Cam remembers all of that. But, yeah, I just seen that. I was actually going to show you something else. I'll get it for another day, but it's upstairs, and I forgot I took it upstairs, but it was actually going to be something else. So, cool for everybody that we get to do something else. But also, fun fact, don't think I ever told the story. People are guessing Jay Bruce. It's not Jay Bruce. Jay Bruce lived in the exact same apartment complex as I did. I lived in the exact same apartment complex as Jay Bruce the year after Jay Bruce moved out. That's a true story. And Billy Hamilton lived next door to me in that apartment complex when I went there. He pulled in the parking lot very first week with this like Mustang. It said "B Ham" on it. I was like, that must be Billy Hamilton.
What day was that game?
August 29th, 2012.
Tough 5-4 loss to Great Lakes. The heartbreaker.
Yeah.
Oh man, they gave up 3 runs in the 8th and 9th. They blew it.
Who knew? I might have.
Who's this winning pitcher? Winning pitcher with an A Diaz, not Alexis. The winning pitcher's name is Amalio Diaz. All right.
No, who knows?
Jose Peraza played in that game. Nope, not Jose Peraza. Juan Peraza. Oh man. Yeah, there was no one else in that game other than Votto. I don't think there's a single player that made the big leagues in that
whole game. That's kind of a fun thing to do. I tell you what, that would be a fun thing to do is just keep all of your tickets from your random games and then pull them back out of the hat every like 5 years, 6 years from now, and see if you can remember. But all right, folks, it's that time. I'm gonna go dunk a basketball. I'm also apparently going to watch the Dayton Dragons, so there's that as well. And you know what? I'm excited about that because I have not been in a winning, big-time atmosphere in a long time. I'm looking forward to it. So I'm gonna shout out to Cam Collier and the gang. I gotta find a basketball, but I also want to say, like the stream if you haven't already. Don't judge the background right now. Listen, this whole house right now is just torn to pieces. But hey, I found some cool stuff, so there's that. Love you, appreciate you. Nick Kirby's just sweating out MLB games right now as we speak, and I love it. He's fired up behind scenes. Who knew? All right, let me go see what I can do. That was the worst dunk I've ever done in the history of Chatterbox Reds, but you know what? No takes, no second takes. It is what it is. I'm embarrassed by it, but I'll see you all tomorrow. Love you. Not an athlete.